Our next speaker is Lars Schoebitz. I don't know if that's pronounced correctly. Schoebitz, thank you. Master degree in Environmental Engineering from the University of Applied Sciences in Gießen, Germany. He's here as a research assistant for a collaborative SDC. That tells us what SDC is, funded project on resource recovery and reuse. But he's familiar with local terrain because previously he worked with the pollution research group at the University of KZN. So please, Lars, go for it. Thanks.
Yes, hello. Good day, everyone, and thanks very much for introducing me, Kevin. I'm very happy to be back here in Durban and give my presentation to you today. Happy to see so many faces, and my presentation is about business model innovations for scaling up fecal sludge businesses in developing countries. I would like to give you a little insight into what actually business model thinking means and how it can help us to face problems in fecal sludge management. And I don't introduce you to the problems we are facing in fecal sludge management. Fecal sludge management does not end with the provision of sanitation, but also includes the collecting, the treatment, and eventually, or ultimately, even the reuse of the products. The question often is, what happens when the on-site sanitation system is full? How does the fecal sludge get collected? How does it get transported? And what makes it actually financially viable? You've seen that fecal sludge management is pretty much dysfunctional, and really good practices are rare. Innovating business models in the fecal sludge management context is about identifying the weak link and finding solutions or innovative solutions and ideas how this weak link can be changed. It's often the collection and transport where we are identifying problems, and we need to find a way how fecal sludge management can be made profitable. Innovative business models in this context are something we can consider to find solutions for that. And I will be presenting you 2 examples where the collection and transport has actually shown to be innovative concerning the affordability for the households and covering the costs. And there are definitely many more examples out there, but these are going to be the 2 I'm presenting. I'm focusing on these 5 topics, giving you a little bit of an introduction into the base of the pyramid and business growth thinking. Then I will have the examples of Manila Water in the Philippines and the Honeysuckers in Bangalore, of which David and Vishwanath in this afternoon will give you a little bit more details because I'm not basically focusing on the business models of these 2 cases. Yeah, as I said, the base of the pyramid, since we are looking at a market approach within our analysis, I would like to shortly introduce this thinking to you. At the top of the pyramid we have the industrialized and the emerging mass markets, where we have functioning markets and needs actually need to be created that can be fulfilled for the customer. The bottom of the pyramid forms 4 billion people living on this planet, which is around 60% of the world's population. And here we have a big amount of needs that exist, but we don't really have functioning markets. As I was talking earlier about the dysfunctionality of the market. And as learned from many examples, are solutions that can be found in the industrialized context, not easily transferable to the base of the pyramid. Therefore, we need to find new business solutions and innovations, how these markets can be created to fulfill the needs of the people. Traditional business growth thinking is pretty much about these 5 steps. We've got a business that starts, hopefully survives, and by building up some success, the business is able to scale up and finally reach the stage of maturity. But all these phases take time and they take investments, and succeeding through the stages enables businesses to penetrate the market. By market penetration, in the context of fecal sludge management, we can think about how many septic tanks can be emptied, how much fecal sludge is collected, how much is treated, or how much is reused in the end. Looking at fecal sludge management, we can basically say that most businesses are pretty much in stage 1 or 2, where they have an existence or they might even survive. But to reach the stage of 3 and 4, we need to consider business models, or we need to find innovations how we can actually scale up these businesses.
And this is model overall describes the holistic picture of a company's logic. It shows us, it describes the different pieces that build a company and links the business with the elements to the customer. And it can give us an idea, or can make us think about different ways on how the customer actually can be integrated into the value proposition. We looked at 2 different types of models and identified what makes these business models successful. And we have identified 2 modes of business growth in these 2 different models, which is first the organic business growth, which can be described as a small business that gets bigger, and the innovations are then basically driven by inside the company. The second mode is the replication of micro-enterprises, where we have small businesses, or like a small business that stays small but gets replicated, where the innovations are basically driven by the network around the company. And in the end, both businesses achieve the same type of coverage, but have a completely different approach. Yeah, the first example is Manila Water in the Philippines. Manila Water is a private company that entered a private-public partnership concession agreement with the national Philippine government in 1997. It's responsible for the water supply and sanitation in Metro Manila. And its primary focus in early years was on the water provision, but it also started in recent years to work on fecal sludge management. The situation before the PPP agreement looked pretty much like a bad circle. It was a very poor service and a very low coverage concerning the water supply. And the customers were unwilling to pay their bills for the water, and there was a very poor collection. The government therefore was not able to increase water rates in order to make more money to have more investments. So we have had very low cash flows and decades of underinvestment into the infrastructure. By entering the concession agreement, Manila Water came with a corporate strategy, so they've had shareholders that were able to invest into the infrastructure. Low-cost funding was made possible, which then leaded to giving Manila Water the chance of investing into the infrastructure. By expanding, Manila Water could create higher revenues and finally scale up to septic tank, emptying services, pit emptying service, and building fecal sludge treatment plants. Manila Water, to cover the costs, the costs are covered by a water-based use tariff. And to cover the costs for the septic tank emptying, they just added a 20% tariff on the normal bill. What's actually interesting is that within that strategy, the fees people pay for water is up to 20 times less than the poor blended quality water that was available before for the households, before they were actually made available to have water supply. Furthermore, has Manila Water integrated a community-based fee structure, which kind of created social pressure and resulted in greater collection rates. All these innovations at Manila Water could be achieved inside the company, and there were no innovations needed from the outside to actually scale up the business. Like Manila Water had the resources and the capacities to actually drive and end up with a better fecal sludge management. Just to give you some figures, Manila Water overall owns 19 vacuum trucks, and they've got 2 existing septage treatment plants. They're emptying around 50,000 septic tanks a year. And one problem they're facing, like the byproduct, the biosolids that are produced at the treatment plants, like due to the concession agreement, Manila Water is not allowed to make a profit out of them, but they have other private companies who collect the biosolids, and Manila Water actually pays these companies for that. Since the takeover of the agreement, another 3 million customers could be covered by water supply, where we had 26% in 1997, and by 2010 almost 99%. And pretty interesting is that out of this additional 3 million customers, 1.7 come from poor households. Just to summarize Manila Water, as I said before, the innovations have been driven from the inside the company, and Now I'm continuing with another approach where we can actually see that the innovations have been coming from the outside. Yeah, there we are looking at the Honeysucker business in Bangalore. And as I said before, Vishwanath will provide some more detailed information in a later presentation, where we can say the main innovation the Honeysuckers have is the point of existence and survival, where they're actually able, they're local truck manufacturers who are able to lease the trucks for starting a micro business. This doesn't really create a risk because you don't need any pre-investments to start a micro honeysucker business. And the costs for the trucks, since they can be produced locally, was driven down by 10 to 1 as well. And the pumps can actually be produced locally. So the production times are less and the business can grow, like it's more or less a 3-people business. And we can find nowadays up to 300 micro businesses in Bangalore. The success in this business model comes more or less from something we like to call competition, where we have the competition within that companies, where you can see that there are actually no direct related contracts between households and the honeysucker businesses, so it creates a competition and keeps the prices low. So the prices are still affordable for the septic tank emptying, but due to the competition, there is also a demand for new innovations, which then ends up in cooperation within that honeysucker businesses, so every business benefits from innovations that are made outside the company. I want to show you 2 pictures. On the top left, we are seeing the emptying service, and as I said before, there are no formal agreements between the households. The only agreements that are made are with big apartment buildings which need to have an daily emptying service. And on the down right, we see someone collecting dried fecal sludge from a drying bed, which is also driving this business model of the honeysuckers because there's a very high demand for low-cost fertilizer. And it is an informal business, but the farmers have actually created drying beds, so the honeysuckers are able to empty the fecal sludge on those drying beds and make the farmers save up to $1,000 a year just on manure alone, or even make them able to sell the fecal sludge and create a profit. Yeah, I will come up with some conclusions. Overall, we can say that researching solutions for fecal sludge management from a business model perspective is pretty beneficial, and it provides us insights and that wouldn't be visible otherwise. Like we can see how the interlinkages within the company are connected and what actually creates a benefit for the customer. It can show us why previous implementations failed and why some are successful and some others are not. And there's definitely an unlimited possibilities for different types of models, of which I have presented 2 today. And we can see that there are different advantages and disadvantages for all of these models. So, for example, the organic business growth, which as the case of Manila, can be successful when we have a strong municipality and actually the capacities are there, but it needs innovations to actually drive the fecal sludge management. While the network business growth can be successful if a strong network around the small companies can be established. So in the end, innovative business models need to be developed to make these businesses grow. I'm open for questions, and I'm thank you very much for your attention. Tomorrow morning, Linda Strande, the leader of our research group, Aspirated Wastewater Management at Sun Lake, will give a talk at 8:30. Pretty much like to invite you to that, and we're also having a Sun Lake stand outside, so if you have any further questions, please come along and I'll give you some